Movies are awesome and a great way to get hooked into a storyline and sometimes even relate to a certain character. Now, we're all guilty of loving a movie and finding out afterwards that it was based on a true story. So today I've come up with a list of the top 10 movies based off of a true story. Number 1, starting things off with American Sniper. Now, this is the story based on the most lethal sniper in the US military history, Chris Carl, the deadliest marksman soldier who ranked up a total of 255 kills, 160 of those officially declared by the Department of Defense. Chris gets sent on many emotional missions, including one in which he was ordered to kill a woman and a little boy, but nothing quite compares to the final mission we see him embark on. Torn between duty and family, this movie will really give you goosebumps, especially knowing that Chris's journey is based off of true occurrences. Now, story number 2 is the movie Midnight Express. Now, this is the story of a young American man, Billy Hayes, who has successfully smuggled hash out of Istanbul and is trying his luck once more. However, this time things didn't quite go to plan. Getting caught just as he's about to board the plane, he gets sentenced to 4 years imprisonment in a terrible Turkish prison. During his time, he endures horrific abuse and is shocked to find out that the Turkish High Court has added another 30 years to his sentence. Not being able to take the torture no more, he concludes an escape plan like no other. Certain parts of the movie were made up, such as him murdering a prison guard. However, the reason he was in prison, including his sentence, and the escape really did happen in real life. Moving on to movie number 3, it is indeed Catch Me If You Can. This is the story of Frank Abagnale, a 17-year-old boy who manages to fraud his identity as a lawyer, doctor, and even a co-pilot. Forging millions of dollars worth of checks, this also got him titled as a bank robber. This is when Agent Carl Hanratty comes in, an FBI agent trying to catch him and bringing him to justice. However, Frank is always one step ahead. You wouldn't believe all of this is possible for one man, especially only at the age of 17, but this movie shows that it really is possible since it was based off of the true story. One man really did all of this crazy stuff. Moving on now to film number 4, we have indeed got American Made. Have you ever wondered what it must be like working for the CIA? What about the DEA? Even Pablo Escobar? What about all of them and at the same time? Well, this was the case for Barry Seal, a TWA pilot who got offered a interesting job in the CIA and shortly finds himself in charge of one of the biggest ever covert CIA operations in the history of America. This, however, got him connections to the cartel, having to transport drugs back to America on his return flights. Therefore, at this stage in his life, he was working for both the CIA and the cartel. However, he did actually get caught, and to avoid his prison sentence, he is forced then to become a DEA agent. In one of his operations with the DEA, he's involved in setting up cameras in one of the aircrafts that he flies to the cartel to get an insight on what the cartel's operations were. However, this did eventually backfire on Barry and it ended in his death. Still to this day, it's unknown if it was the cartel, the CIA, or the DEA who ordered his assassination. Moving on to movie number 5 now, we have indeed got The Pursuit of Happiness. This is the story of Chris Gardner, a homeless father who is trying his best at raising his son considering his conditions. With the struggles of losing his home while trying out an internship to become a stockbroker, Chris still puts his son first, raising him well and keeping him in high spirits. Working hard for 6 months in an internship and not even knowing if he's going to end up with the job or not was a huge gamble. But lucky for Chris, his hard work and dedication paid off, and he managed to pull off the full-time job offer as a stockbroker. This made life a lot easier and he was able to actually finance him and his son's life. Many years down the line, and it turns out Chris went on to form his very own multi-million-dollar brokerage firm. A really heart-touching story this is. Now moving on to number 6, we have indeed got Rain Man. This is the story of Charlie Babbitt, a car dealer who learns that his father has indeed just passed away, and he's actually surprised that he has indeed got an autistic older brother, Raymond. He He's also surprised that his father's $3 million fortune is being left to the medical institution where Raymond lives. Motivated by the money, Charlie checks Raymond out of the facility and tells the doctors he will return Raymond when he receives half of the fortune. Later on down the line, Raymond actually refuses to fly to LA, and these two brothers are forced to go on a road trip across America. Reminiscing together, Charlie remembers that him and Raymond actually grew up together for a few years, before his autism took a turn for the worse and ended him up in a mental institution. Charlie remembered that Raymond was in fact real though, and not just his imaginary friend, Rain Man, as well as that he's also capable of counting cards. With Charlie owing $80,000 in debt, he decided to take Raymond to a casino, in which they won $86,000 back, paying off his debt and having a little left over. After all that time together, Charlie decided that the best thing to do is return Raymond to the mental institution, and he does indeed visit Raymond every fortnight. Moving on to number 7 now, we have indeed got Schindler's List. This is the story of Oskar Schindler, a member of the Nazi party who worked in one of the grottos. After witnessing other Nazi guards' brutality, Schindler realizes he's not a murderer, and he wanted to help some of the Jews survive. He firstly done this by hiring them to work for him, and blamed it on the fact that they were cheaper to hire than the Germans were. However, it was just a way to prevent them from either getting shot or get them sent to a concentration camp. He then spent all of his money on bribing other Nazi guards to release the Jews on their transportation trains to Auschwitz or even other concentration camps. Thankfully, just as he ran out of money to bribe with, the war ended, and some of the remaining Nazis who were about to shoot down the remaining Jews in the grotto, Schindler managed to convince them that they were innocent men, not murderers, and they should return home to their families that way. So those Nazis did just that, and Schindler went on to save around 1,000 Jewish people. A real life hero. Now in number 8 we have indeed got Wolf on Wall Street. This is the story of Jordan Belfort, a man who started off his career by taking an entry-level job at Wall Street working in a brokerage firm. Becoming more confident and skipping through a few jobs, he managed to save enough money to start his own firm. He hired his best friend and a bunch of selected men and women he knew he could train up to be able to defraud wealthy investors. Now earning millions of dollars and not knowing what to do with it in such a short time, he spends and spends buying houses, cars, drugs, and essentially women. The FBI getting involved, however, he manages to open a Swiss bank account and getting his British friends to smuggle the money out of America and into Switzerland. And where they were British, it meant that his money was completely out of the attention of the American authorities. Eventually, however, Jordan does indeed get caught and has to serve a total of only 22 months in a minimum security prison, with his business, however, obviously getting shut down. On his release, he makes a living hosting seminars on sales techniques. So you could say prison definitely turned his life around. Now moving on to movie number 9, and it is indeed 127 Hours. This is the story of an avid mountaineer, Aaron Ralston, who decided to go hiking at Utah's Canyonlands National Park. However, he decided at the time not telling anyone where he was going was actually a good idea. And then on his journey, when he was climbing, the unthinkable happened. As he loses grip, he falls, knocking a boulder which traps his right arm between the rock and this boulder. Trapped with no one knowing where he is, no one around, he decides to record a video diary. Using his pocket knife, he starts to chip away parts of the boulder, which in hindsight is a bad idea as it's only blunting the knife more. With a total of 6 grueling days of Aaron being trapped, he rationed his 150 milliliters of water and a small amount of food, resulting in him drinking in his own urine to survive. On the last couple of days of him being trapped, he begins hallucinating, which results in him figuring out his own way of escape, which is to break the bone in his arm and then amputate his arm off. He does just this, finally making him free, taking pictures of where he had been trapped and made his way out onto the desert, where he finds a couple who gives him the support he needs to survive and get medical attention. And moving on to number 10, the final movie today is indeed The Darkest Hour. This movie follows the real story of Winston Churchill, the British Prime Minister during the Second World War, We follow Churchill as he experiences world-changing decisions and never really has the support of his country. When everyone is arguing to end the war and accept Hitler's negotiation, Churchill is standing his ground and denying to accept, making many heartfelt speeches of how they shall carry on, how they should never stop fighting, and that they will never back down. With the British soldiers now on the border of Dunkirk getting killed and bullied out into the sea, there is no escape. Churchill orders an escape plan, one that many people denied would work. However, fortunately for Churchill and obviously the lives of the men, it was successful, saving thousands and thousands of soldiers. So there you guys go, that is indeed my top 10 list of movies based off of true stories. It really is crazy that these have actually happened in real life to real people. So if you've enjoyed the video today, make sure to hit the like button and consider subscribing if you want to see more videos like this one. Thank you for watching the video and have a great day.